it is Hope at Crafty Hope, and I am working on the Daisy Yellow ICAD 2019 challenge. You can learn all about that on the Daisy Yellow blog. I'll put a link below in the description box, but each day she gives prompts, and each week there are themes. I don't really go with the themes. I tend to maybe use the prompts. With these, I did the best I could, and this is ICAD number, oh, what is this? 4. It's number 4. And the prompt for this one was reflection. I'm using 4x6 iCards, not the standard 3x5, because that's what I had on hand. So I started by taking my my index card, and measuring a piece of like ledger paper. And I decided for the theme of reflection, I kind of wanted to do like a Rorschach ink blot kind of theme. So I took some Dylusions paint in a bright orange and a bright yellow, because those are just fun colors, and put them on that paper I had measured and splotched it on there in places, sorry, and just folded that in half. Now I could have done that just straight on the card, but I didn't really want to bend my card, so I'm doing it on this piece of paper, and made just a fun little splotch. I don't think I see anything in it, but I thought that the colors were a lot of fun. Now, I dried that really good, because those Dylusions can be, I don't know, they've got a lot of viscosity, a lot of movement to them, so I wanted to make sure they were dry, because I wanted to try to keep them as reflective, I guess, as possible. And once they were good and dry and everything, I used my Oohoo glue stick and just glued it on my card. So that made a fun little background. Now, this is probably one of my most simple cards I've done so far. A lot of simple process. And that is just a paint swatch that I, again, folded in half, because I wanted it to match as much as possible. And I thought the green looked really, I don't know, fun and spring, summery, bright colors on those that orange and yellow. So I used a little matte medium and painted that on the back and glued it on down. And from there, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. It had that reflective quality. I was afraid anything else I added wouldn't match on either side. So I started by just going around the card with a little bit of black ink pad just to frame it up. And then I thought for a little while. I couldn't figure out exactly what I wanted to do, and I grabbed a charcoal pencil, and I realized it wasn't very sharp, so I tried to sharpen it, and I was having trouble with it. So I threw that aside and grabbed a pencil instead and went around it. Now, this doesn't really give me the pop that I want to make that heart stand up, so I found another charcoal pencil and went around it this time. Now, this ends up not making it match very well, because once you start blending it, the blending gets a little off. I did take a blending stump to kind of blend it out a little, but that was pretty much it for this card. It went with the theme of reflection, and I really think it works. So I'm going to give you a better look at this, though there's not much to it, but I like it. It went with the theme, and I think I was working in a rush when I did this set of 3 cards here, because I had gotten behind. So card number 5 here, I really like a lot. It is, yeah, sorry, I was thinking maybe these weren't the ones I was working in a rush, because I'm running behind on doing these video voiceovers. But the theme for card 5 was tourist map, and I found that I actually had a London tourist map that I probably picked up at the library or something from their free bin, and I knew I was going to incorporate that somehow. And I started by grabbing a couple of these Tim Holtz stamps. One of them is like a compass, and the other one is a globe. So I wanted to make my own kind of paper background, and I used a paper bag just because I wanted something really basic to stamp onto. And so I am just using some Stays-On ink and that paper bag to stamp on the compass and create my own like scrapbook paper type thing. And from there I wanted to add a bunch of arrows, and I fortunately had this stencil that has these arrows pointing in all different kinds of directions, and I'm taking a little red paint and putting that straight onto that paper bag background thing that I made. And I wish I knew who makes that stencil, but I cannot think of it for the life of me at this time. If you know, leave me a comment, because I am drawing a blank right now. So once I had that all done, I I think I set it aside to dry for a minute while I moved on to working with my other stamp, which was the globe stamp. And I decided to pull out. I've got one of the stamping platforms. This is the travel size one from Tim Holt. I found it Tuesday mornings, and I was super excited about it. And I don't use it very often, but I thought this was the perfect opportunity because I really wanted a nice clear image, and I knew I might need to stamp a couple times with it. So and I did. You know, put it in that stamping platform and stamped it twice. And it worked out perfectly. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a second one of these stamps. Like I said, I don't use my stamping platform often because I tend to use a lot of my own hand carved stamps, but it's nice to have this when you're making a card or doing something you want a little more exact. So there I am using it. And then from there, I'm going to, what am I going to do? I don't know. It's been a while since I've done these. I'm running behind on everything here lately. So I'm putting my stamps up so that they're out of the way. My desk tends to get a little crowded. And I had these letter stamps. It's like typewriter letter stamps. I think I got those at Tuesday morning too. And I am going to just stamp that freehand. I'm not going to worry with the stamping platform for it because I didn't need it as exact. And I'm going to spell out get lost because I think that's kind of the fun of being a tourist, is getting lost where you are and discovering new things and just exploring. So I've taken that London travel map and I am stamping down the word get, and here I am going over and spelling lost. And I didn't do these at the same time because I needed the T for both of these. So I did get and then lost with an exclamation point. And like I said, did it straight onto that London tourist map. I tried to make sure that certain areas that I know of London, or that I'm familiar with, just from seeing it. I've always wanted to go to London, but things that, I'd like to go see one day are in that map. And so I glued my little pattern paper that I made down with just my Uhu glue stick, because that paper bag paper is so thin. That's all I really needed was a glue stick to get it on there. And I'm making sure it's on there nice and secure and trimming it up. But I know this is a different take on because maps usually are intended to help you find your way around, but I think the idea of getting lost in a new place really appeals to me. And getting lost in the world. So I thought that the globe there was a perfect, kind of get lost in the world, get lost in your own backyard, discover new places in your own community. So I am using some, what are those, distress markers to color in that map a little and kind of use it as a watercolor effect. I'm using a green and a blue. I don't even know what colors those are. My blue one's a little dried out. So I'm doing the best I can with it and just, getting that to look a little more like a globe and add a touch more color to the card. That red really does add a nice pop, but I wanted some pretty color. And since I don't like a lot of straight edges, I trimmed around part of that, and then I'm just using some Distress Oxide, I think a black soot, to just go around my cutout globe. And then I tear out just that section of the map because I'd like to keep as much of it intact as possible to use for something else. And I cut out my get lost, and like I said, I don't like the straight edges, so it's kind of loopy and curves and all of that. And I'm using the same cosmetic sponge I used. I just trimmed that down. I don't like to waste a lot of stuff. And I'm going around the get lost as well with that, just to frame everything up and let it pop a little. And you see me thinking because I'm trying to decide what else it needs. And even though did I ink the edges of that? I don't think I inked those edges. I am just framing that up. I'm using just a pen to kind of draw some scriggly lines around the outside and gluing everything down with my Uhu glue stick. Now, I probably should have used a matte medium with the globe one because that's a thicker cardstock, but you see I'm having to go again and again to get that to stick down. But it's down, it works, it's whatever, it's fine. And I sat there and I looked at that and I knew it needed something else. I circled to get lost with the pen thinking that's what it was. But I thought something else needed to pop, needed some color. So I grabbed a yellow Posca paint pen and I was just going to add some dots inside a couple of the arrows. I didn't like the dots, so I'm drawing over them with just straight lines. and I, trying to figure out, I wanted them all pointing in different directions to kind of accentuate the whole idea of getting lost. So anyway, guys, that's my card number 5 for this series, and we'll get started here in a second. I'm going to give you a closer look at card 5. And here in just a second, we're going to start on card 6. And I'm trying to remember, card 6, the prompt was leaf or petal. And I happen to have a little die cut. I believe it's a Tim Holtz die cut. Everything I use, it seems to be Tim Holtz. And I don't know why. I just love his stuff. But I had that sitting off to the side. I had cut it. I think this is where I was in a rush and trying to do a bunch all at the same time. So I grabbed just a jelly print you see here of mine, and it is on some heavy cardstock. So I'm going to use matte medium to glue it onto my card. And just to make sure it sticks really well. And there I put it on the face of the card where I had what the prompt was, and I didn't want it there, so I'm scraping it off with my little credit card thing, and then I'll glue the back side that I actually want to use. And I'm just putting that down straight onto that jelly print, and then I'll cut around it to get it just how I want it. Like I said, I had that die cut sitting. It's just a piece of white. I was testing out the die cut for something else, and I don't know. I can't throw anything away. So I had this like leaf or fern type die cut that is what is my main focal going to be in this. So this is kind of I don't know, a quick and easy ICAD for this challenge. So nobody probably needs instruction for this, and for some reason I'm grouping these all in sections of 3, even though you may not want to see them, but I kind of hope you are watching because it makes me feel good. And make sure, if you do like these, let me know. Give me a like, a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave me a comment. But anyway, so once I get that all glued down, there's my little die cut. It had torn a little, so I went ahead and just tore that off, that bottom part that was being a little floppy because I didn't feel like messing with it. I was trying to rush through these cards. And I'm going to use my Oohoo glue stick to just glue it straight onto that jelly print. And I've got my pen, my trusty, just cheapo pen that I am going around all the leaves with to spread it out. I didn't think I could get my Stabilo in there, and I didn't really want to wet up that die cut because I kind of wanted the white to stand out on that really colorful jelly print. And then I pulled out my Tim Holtz Chit Chat stickers, or I think that's what they're called. I keep calling them that, so I hope that's what they're called. And tried to find something that I thought would work, and of course it's too big, so I'm cutting it down and just sticking it down straight onto my card and going around it also with my pen. That's just to make it stand out a little. And I added a couple little doodles at the top, just some little scallops that I'm filling in with the pen. And then going around the outside of the card with just some sketchy lines. These are almost kind of, I don't even know, almost like a really loopsy zigzag. And it's not as dark as I want, so I'm going back over it and I'm filling in some of the spaces between, because basically I did 2 lines. And like I said, it's kind of, I don't know, I'm trying to think what you would call that. It's not really a zigzag because it's not sharp, but it's just these curves that are kind of curving over each other and around each other so that there's just spaces in between them. So I'm going over those just to darken them up a little bit, and then adding a little bit of darkness in them to frame up the whole thing. And it felt like it needed something else. I didn't have any doodles or anything on there, so I just took a pencil and added some like little ovally lines on there. And it doesn't really add anything unless you're in the right light, but it made me feel better. So, and that was it, guys. So that is cards 4, 5, and 6 for the Daisy Yellow ICAD 2019. Let me know what you think. Give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.